So they're silencing him, removing his ability to tell the truth. But what does that also do? It removes your ability to hear what he has to say. Because freedom of speech is also a two-way street. This is another important aspect of that right. It's not my right to talk only. It's also my right to hear what you have to say. So I think mainstream media sucks at doing their job. Independent-minded media has also sucked at doing its job lately. And that's why my dumbass is here sitting in my living room talking to my cell phone. So if I'm going to be critical of mainstream media and I'm going to be critical of other left-wingers on YouTube and other social media and independent media, I would be a huge hypocrite as well as a knucklehead if we didn't talk about Julian Assange. So let's talk about Julian Assange right now. Let me adjust my chair a little bit, get a little lower here. So about a month ago, there was a major ruling in the UK courts that is going to allow for the extradition of Julian Assange to the United States. It isn't final yet. There's still one more appeal process, if I'm not mistaken. But this is really bad news. This is literally the biggest threat to the First Amendment, to freedom of the press, freedom of speech in the entire world. This is the most important news story of our lifetime. Julian Assange can be extradited to the U.S. court rules. So this is the BBC. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange can be extradited from the UK to the US, the High Court has ruled. The US won its appeal against a January UK court ruling that he could not be extradited due to concerns over his mental health. Judges were reassured by US promises to reduce the risk of suicide. His fiancée said they intended to appeal. Mr. Assange is wanted in the U.S. over the publication of thousands of classified documents in 2010 and 2011. Senior judges found the lower judge had based her decision in January on the risk of Mr. Assange being held in highly restrictive prison conditions if extradited. However, the U.S. authorities later gave assurances that he would not face those strictest measures unless he committed an act in the future that merited them. So just quickly, Mr. Assange is wanted in the U.S. over the publication of thousands of classified documents in 2010 and 2011. So Mr. Assange is wanted in the U.S. for doing journalism because these classified documents revealed that the U.S. was doing war crimes. So I fixed that sentence for the BBC. By the way, these documents that WikiLeaks published, all the major news organizations in the UK and the United States also followed suit and published these documents because it was the biggest news story of the time. Why wouldn't they? Especially after WikiLeaks showed them up and did a better job than them. And I'm pretty sure WikiLeaks worked with those major news agencies as well to disseminate the information. So if you're going to go after WikiLeaks, you have to go after the rest of the press. Or at least that's the precedent it would set. And that's the reason why the Obama administration never fully went after Julian Assange for this stuff. They did persecute him. They did make his life really hard, but they never wanted to bring him in for a real court case because they knew they couldn't win the court case because it was obviously destroying freedom of speech and freedom of press. Given the judgment, Lord Chief Justice Lord Burnett said that risk is in our judgment excluded by the assurances which are offered. It follows that we are satisfied that if the assurances had been before the judge, she would have answered the relevant question differently. Blah, 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 blah. Mr. Assange's fiancée, Stella Morris, called the ruling dangerous and misguided, adding that the U.S. assurances were inherently unreliable. Yeah, ain't that the truth, Stella? In an emotional statement outside the court, Ms. Morris said, "For the past 2 years and a half, Julian has remained in Belmarsh prison. And in fact, he has been detained since 7 December 2010 in one form or another." 11 years. For how long can this go on? WikiLeaks editor-in-chief, Kristen Hrafnsson, I don't know. I have trouble with those Viking names. Julian's life is once more under grave threat, and so is the right of journalists to publish material that governments and corporations find inconvenient. This is about the right of a free press to publish without being threatened by a bullying superpower. Amnesty International described the ruling, even Amnesty International, who has sucked for a while, even they described the ruling as a travesty of justice, and the U.S. assurances as deeply flawed. Julian, the article goes on, but so Julian is getting extradited, right? Here's another interesting update to the Assange story. Mexico president says he sought Assange pardon from Trump. He renews his asylum offer. Mexico City, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said he has sought a pardon for Julian Assange and former President Donald Trump before he left office last year, and repeated his offer of asylum for the WikiLeaks founder on Monday. Last month, the Australian-born Assange moved closer to facing criminal charges in the United States for one of the biggest leaks of classified information after Washington won an appeal over his extradition in an English court. U.S. authorities accuse Assange of 18 accounts relating to WikiLeaks' release of confidential U.S. military records and diplomatic cables, which they said had put lives in danger. These U.S. military records that are confidential and diplomatic cables were all revealing the lies of the United States, how they were lying to their own citizens, how they were lying to the governments and people of the world. If it's a crime to reveal crimes, you're probably being ruled by criminals. Think about that. Julian Assange is public enemy number one to the intelligence community, to the establishment of both major political parties in the United States and all of the Western governments for telling the truth. It's extremely disturbing. A lot of people who might come across this video might say things like, Julian Assange is a criminal, he put lives in danger, which is a flat out lie. He is a sexual pervert, sexual assaulter, which is a flat out lie. He's been smeared in the press. And please understand that Julian Assange is a human being, and he's being smeared, and he's being tortured, and he's being held against his will for doing nothing but simply telling the truth. And that's extremely disturbing and sad and messed up. It's fucked up. It's super fucked up. But take your feelings for Julian Assange, the person, away for a second. If it's illegal for someone to publish the truth, what kind of society does that leave us with? Are we in a democracy? Are you making informed choices at that point? If you can't even, if you're not even allowed to see the truth because those who dare to speak it are imprisoned, silenced, removed from the internet, thrown into Belmarsh prison. This is the biggest threat to freedom of speech, to freedom of the press in the entire world. They're going to tell you things like, for 6 years or so now, Trump is such a huge threat to everything, to democracy, to this. He's still a threat. He's coming back. All his stupid fights with Jim Acosta, you're supposed to believe that is a big deal.
Are you?
That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation? Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his
butt. Well, I'm not
like
a big fan of yours either, so
I understand.
To be honest.
But you're also supposed to believe that it's okay that Julian Assange is in prison right now, and he's been basically de facto imprisoned for the past decade for telling the truth. He can't even go on the internet and tweet. He can't do anything. He can't talk. So they're silencing him, removing his ability to tell the truth. But what does that also do? It removes your ability to hear what he has to say. Because freedom of speech is also a two-way street. This is another important aspect of that right. It's not my right to talk only. It's also my right to hear what you have to say. What you have to say might be super important. And if the state deems that you're not allowed to say it, then I can't hear it. And now the scope of discussions is more limited. I don't see how people cannot see that. And furthermore, when we go to imprisonment or censorship, it's always, they demonize Julian Assange so more people are willing to go along with it. When it comes to censorship, examples like Alex Jones come to mind. They always pick people at first that they can get away with, test public opinion, see how public pushback is. It's always a character that they have the ability to get some kind of public support for castigating them, And then, as time moves on, it's always used against extremely vulnerable people. The people who are already being oppressed by the powerful. Once you normalize censorship, it's always going to be used against marginalized groups because those are the people who are going to have gripes with the powerful. And if censorship is on the table, you're going to silence those people from ever talking. But before this video ends, just wanted to play this video, and this is the sights and sounds of Belmarsh. And this is how I wanted to end it. I wanted to end it how Julian Assange's partner, Stella Morris, wanted us all to think and to feel. She wanted us to watch this video on Julian's 1,000th day in Belmarsh. So this is day 1,000 in Belmarsh for Julian. Let's listen into this video that Stella left for us. And if you have Instagram, if you have Twitter, go and follow WikiLeaks. Go and follow Stella Morris as well. She's Stella Morris 7 on Instagram and Stella Morris 1 on Twitter. She only has, less than 5,000 followers, which is crazy because, she's married to Julian Assange. And she's also always putting out some great information. She's obviously mainly focused on trying to free her husband, but she's always disseminating great information, pointing out the hypocrisies of the elite and established class that will criminalize and imprison her husband while giving themselves rewards and awards. Meanwhile, they're murderers and all he is a publisher. So here's this video.